Welcome back to Wolf's Dark Art. Many of you dark wolves have requested for another fire tutorial, and I shall oblige. Currently, we are going over the supply list with the Prismacolor alcohol-based markers. Should you not have Prismacolor, then any other alcohol-based marker will work for this tutorial. Notice, the type of paper you use matters, as different types of papers will absorb the ink from your marker at a faster rate. I'm using Canson marker paper, and that is what I'd recommend for this tutorial. That way you may save the life on your markers. So, without further ado, let's get started. I have my Tuscan Red Prismacolor marker. I'm starting to put the initial shape down, and in this shape, this is where the dark area will be at, or one of the dark areas. Prismacolor markers, or like any other alcohol-based marker, work on a layer system, meaning the more you go over it with the same color or value, the darker it'll be till it reaches maximum saturation. Now that the paper is still saturated with the Tuscan Red Prismacolor, I'm going to bring in the black marker. Being that it's still wet, when I play down the black ink, it will be absorbed and mixed with the Tuscan Red, blending it, so the black won't be nearly as strong once it dries. Now I'm going back with my Tuscan Red to blend the edges of the black, and doing another layer of the Tuscan Red, once again making it darker. This process will be repeated throughout the entire project. Now I'm getting my Crimson Red marker. When I use this Crimson Red, I'm gonna go slightly over the Tuscan Red, but more so of giving it trim, where it's starting to change in color, which would be also value if this is a black and gray scale. I'm not worried about blending the edges though yet. Now I've grabbed my Poppy Red. This red is very close to being orangey, in a sense. I'm going to repeat the same process that I did last time, except for I'm going to overlay that Poppy Red over the Crimson Red and Tuscan, burnishing all three colors together, though this is not the final layer. You'll see that I'm also starting to build my midtones by using the Poppy Red. Now, I've gotten my orange marker, and I'm going to repeat the same process I've done with all the other colors. I'm going to take it and put it into the Poppy Red, 50%, and the other 50% onto the white paper, continuing to build the shape and form of my fire. I'm not concerned, again, with blending the edges just yet. And neither should you. Remember, this is a layer process. So it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Take your time with this. Here's a Spanish orange. Spanish orange is kind of golden. It's a cross between yellow and orange. So it's a great way to connect orange to like a yellow, which will be coming up soon. I'm continuing to do the same process, half in and half out from the previous color, burnishing them over each other. And I'm building my form again, leading out to soon to be my lightest values. Now, with my canary yellow marker, I'll be repeating the same process. The goal here is to start building towards your lightest values. As stated before, I'm not worried about blending the edges just yet. This marker is a Deco Yellow. It's the lightest yellow that I know of in the Prismacolor brand, or at least is to date. Now I'm going to saturate quite a bit here as it's really light, and since these markers work on a layer system, I'm going to try to blend in that canary yellow versus into the Deco, but I will be going back over and repeating the same process. As you'll notice, I'll leave open white parts because that's where the hottest part of the flame is most brilliant at. Alright, now I'm going to start to go backwards. We're going to go ahead and get the canary yellow and start to saturate it more to make it a lot more intense and blend into that Deco yellow, which is still wet, mind you, so it'll be able to spread and mix with each other quite well. This is a bit of a faster process, once again going back in repetition. You'll have to be jumping between the two markers that you used either previously or thereafter in order to blend your edges, that is. As you can see with this close-up, the more saturated the paper is with the previous color, the more it'll blend or burnish. And if that's more of an effect that you're looking for, then you'll want to really saturate the paper with as much pigment as possible, and then quickly take your other marker to slightly blend those layers together. Here I'm starting to define the separation within the fire, such as little peaks that are getting darker and lighter in the transition. That way not everything is uniform, and it has the appearance of more natural fire. Fire is more akin to like a ribbon. It twists and turns and overlaps, and then there's gaps between. Remember, fire is semi-transparent, so we can see what's behind the fire at certain points, thus the dark and light. This process of overlapping between the darkest all the way through to the lightest of colors is something you're going to repeat over and over again until you feel like it looks the way that you want it to look, or what the picture reference looks like. The decision is all up to you on how refined you want to make this. starting to build other shadow areas. Once again with my Tuscan red, I'm overlapping and blending the crimson red on the outside. I'm adding little details here that shows that there are more than one stream of fire. As I stated before, fire is similar to a ribbon. If you could imagine a bunch of ribbons twisting and twirling in the wind, pretty much the physics of fire, at least visually. Now with my black Prismacolor marker, I am laying down a quick saturation of black against the Tuscan red. I've picked up my Tuscan red marker and I'm about to blend that black while it's still wet so that there is a gradient. Some of these gradients will transition from hard to a soft gradient. Your picture reference will help you determine where that should happen. Now continuing to build the form of my fire here and adding the shadows first helps me determine where I want the lights to be. But you could work from the light to the dark. It's up to you how you want to do it. I suggest experimenting with both. Now, I'm going to go ahead and repeat the process that I've showed you throughout this tutorial. I'm going to go ahead and blend some edges and leave other edges hard, where I feel like they need to be. Now that we're pulled back, you can see the picture start to come together, from hard gradients to soft gradients. In the same process, repeated over and over again until the effect's achieved. Now let's move into a time lapse.